Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. It's your girl, the Brooke Ashley, and today we are here to discuss The Real Housewives of Atlanta, Season 14, Episode 8. And baby, when I tell you, Bravo said we're giving you guys a jam-packed episode since we're not getting a new episode next week, and they delivered. Marlo, I will not be surprised if this happens to be your first and last season as a full-time housewife. That last scene between you and Kenya, I was too through. And this is no shade, but a good therapist would do wonders because you obviously have a very hard time when it comes to being a good friend. But let me not jump ahead. Let's just get right on into this recap because we don't have a minute to spare. So we start this episode off with Sanya. She's at home and she and her sister are having a conversation about Ross. He's away on business. Remember that they own that chauffeur service in Texas. So Sanya's a bit on edge because she's dreading having a tough conversation with him about the fact that she doesn't want to have any more kids. Now I have to say, Sanya definitely did earn a few points with me in this episode because we got to see her real self. Not all this putting on for the cameras, trying to create a fake beef with Drew. Now, Sanya says in her confessional that when Deuce was born, she felt like Ross wasn't there emotionally for her or their son. So she's not trying to have another kid and then Ross is distant again. So now Sanya goes on to say that if Ross wants another kid so badly, she needs to see the necessary changes on his part. And I said she has every right to feel that way. Because, look, I don't have kids as of yet, but I know that kids are a lot of work. And most of the time, it's the woman who's doing 90% of the work, okay? And I feel her on that. Like, no, it can't just be all on me. Like, I'm going to need you to chip in and step up. So I definitely understand her trepidation about having another kid. Now, Sanya goes on to say how she's a career woman, she loves to work, and that keeps her full and happy. And how her cup needs to be full before she can pour into others. And I 100% agree. And I mean, it sounds very cliche, but you do have to make sure that you're good because you're not going to be of service to anybody else if you're not. Listen, I tell everybody around me, I'm not anybody's superwoman. I don't have any cape on. I'm not saving the day. I'm not a strong black woman. I am a fragile, delicate flower. All right? So ladies, take the cape off and find some time to rest. And that's my little PSA for the day. So the scene ends with Sanya saying that she's going to plan a really nice romantic dinner for Ross when he comes home. And then she's going to drop the news that she does not want to have another child. Sanya, at the end of the day, please make the best decision for you. And we're going to talk more about this because that ending between you and Drew, I said, oh, Drew, we got to talk. Because mama tried it. I mean, can we talk about a pick-me? But again, let me not jump ahead. Now we flip to the next scene with Sheree and Marlo at the sauna, and they're having a girls' day. Sheree says, you know, what better way to have some fun, have some girl talk, by sitting in a sauna and dropping some pounds. Now, before we really dive into this scene, let me pay Sheree a compliment for the first time ever. I love that ponytail that she was sporting in this scene. It was chic, it was sexy, it was nice and long. I was here for it. I said, Sheree, let this be on record that yes, I actually did pay you a compliment. But now I'm going to get you together because you tried it. So we see Sheree and Marlo change out of their clothes. They get in the sauna, and Kandi arrives. Now, Kandi had a cute outfit on, hair was done, face was beat. It was evident that she was not getting into anybody's sauna. And when they were like, Kandi, you know, get in, and she said, no, like, I have somewhere to be. I can't have my hair frizz up, so I'm going to watch you guys from right here, but I'm not getting in that sauna. I don't know if it was just me, but I felt like the minute they were all together, the vibe was automatically off. I could just feel the tension on both sides. So now they're in the sauna. Kandi is a good 20 feet away from them, sitting down, and she's asking them how they're feeling. They're like, oh my gosh, girl, feels so good in here. It's just nice and hot. And then Sheree starts asking Kandi about her new TV role. So Kandi says that it's really cool, but she was not expecting for her first scene to be a sex scene. So now they're laughing about that, and now all of a sudden, Marlo just interrupts, and she's like, okay, Sheree, let's talk about what you discussed earlier. And the minute that Marlo said that, Kandi already tensed up. And I definitely would have done the same thing too, because don't hit me with any mess. And then the fact that it's two of y'all against me, I don't play that. So now Sheree says, Kandi, I thought that you and I were great friends. You used to always invite me over to your house. I would hang out with your family. We go on picnics and movie nights and all this stuff. And I'm just so hurt and disappointed because you know what I'm going through in regards to Tyrone. And I said, Sheree, let me just stop you right here. Because first of all, why are you acting like the world has to stop because you're going through a breakup? Are you there for anybody else when they have breakups and divorces? No. We never see you treat anybody to a damn lunch. So for you to ask for all this loyalty and friendship and support, it's a joke. And also, can we discuss how one-sided the friendship is between you and Kandi? Because in those pictures, it was evident that Kandi was the one inviting you to all her family events. What about your family events? Did you ever invite Kandi to those? So when you were saying all that, I was confused. Like, okay, it seems like once again, you're on the receiving end. And Sheree, grow up. You're in your 50s. Nobody has to coddle you over a breakup with a man who was in jail. Acting like it's a damn divorce or something. You already knew you were setting yourself up for failure getting with Tyrone. So miss me with, oh my gosh, my heart's just so broken and I need all my friends to rally around me. Like, girl, no. You better cry for a few days, shake it off, and then slap a smile back on your face and get back out in the world. And vow to never stoop so low and be so desperate to get with a man in jail in the first place. So now Kandi says, but Sheree, I didn't want to be the one to bring it up. I didn't know what to do in this situation. I was waiting on you to call me and tell me what was going on. And I agree, because I'm not a friend who's going to pry. I let all my friends know. You tell me what you want to tell me. And when it comes to very personal matters, whether it's financial issues, family problems, just anything of the sort, if you haven't told me directly, I'm not going to pry. And I'm not going to throw other people under the bus. So I definitely felt Kandi on that. Because the way that Sheree lashed out at Kandi about the whole thing with the assistant and her not saying anything directly, I can understand Kandi's trepidation to be like, well, you know what? Let me not say anything because she got mad at me last time, so I'll wait for her to come to me. And that's always a lose-lose situation, because if I say something to you, then you're going to be mad at the people who told me, and then the folks who told me not to say anything are going to be upset. So again, it's like you can't win. But in those situations, you just stand your ground and you say, look, it is what it is. I'm not apologizing for anything. You should have picked up the phone and called me if you wanted me to know. Because I view things like this as you obviously didn't want me to know this information about you, and I'm not going to pry. I'm getting a little bit worked up because this episode was kind of triggering for me, because I was like, I've been in this position. So I was getting heated watching Sheree and Marlo come after Kandi like that. Because in my opinion, I didn't think that Kandi was in the wrong. I think that Sheree and Marlo are picking at her because they both need a storyline. And I also think it's some jealousy because Kandi is now the longest standing castmate on this show. So I think it's also, let's come for the OG. So anyhow, Sheree is not trying to hear anything that Kandi's saying. And then she says, look, Kandi, I needed you. I was disappointed in you. I was hurt. I wanted you to step up and be my friend and check on me. And again, Sheree, be the friend that you want to see. And that's all I have to say about that. And Kandi's nicer than I am because I actually would have walked out. Now, Kandi's voice is a bit raised. She's not yelling just yet, but you can tell that she's about to go off. So now she says, why do y'all expect so much from me? Y'all don't do that for me. Like, why do you feel like you're owed all my support and all my time? So now Marlo starts yelling, and she's bringing up her foundation and how she was insulted and hurt, how Kandi would try to bring her used clothes for her girls, and then she adds that Kandi was raised better than that and she knows better. So at this point, Kandi's screaming, she's pissed. She's like, girl, don't even sit up here and bring up your childhood. I don't want to hear it. Then Marlo brings up all the drama that she's having with her sister and how she wants Kandi to reach out to her. So now Kandi says, but girl, my time is stretched thin with my own family. Like even my own family complains that they don't see me that much. So join the club. And Kandi, I do have to say, I think that you need to tone it down with all these business ventures, all these TV roles, all these movie roles. Like, you have 2 small kids. It's not going to hurt you to take a step back and have some more time for your loved ones. So I will give Marlo half a point there when she told you, well, maybe you need to work on that because obviously you're stretched too thin. Another thing, how are Sheree and Marlo mad at Kandi for not supporting them, but they were sitting up there dogging her out 2 episodes ago at Sanya's cooking class? Marlo, you're calling her all sorts of hoes and whores and messing with men under her tax bracket and she doesn't help anybody, but now you want to fix your lips to say that she's not a good friend to you and you need support and you want her to be around? How does that work? You're not a good friend because no good friend would talk about their friend like a dog like that. And Sheree, you sitting up there cackling, talking about facts, preach. Y'all both slut-shaming your friend, but yet you're upset with her for not wanting to be around y'all. Got it. I said, y'all have some damn nerve trying to check Kandi. And don't get me wrong, Kandi can be defensive, and she can, deflect when she's being called out on her stuff, but I do think that Kandi is pretty reasonable for the most part. And she is a good friend to people when they're a good friend to her. And I have to say, even though we know that Kandi cries every time she gets upset, I really felt her pain because it's like, how dare you? For you guys to both ambush me when I wasn't expecting it, and then you want me to be a better friend to you than you are to me, I'd have been just as angry too. And I probably would have started yelling as well. And when Sheree had the nerve to say, I'm not the friend that's gonna yes you to death, it's like, you're not a friend at all. Let's start there. Because we see you going back and forth. You're with Marlo talking about Kandi and Kenya one day. Then you're in front of Kenya and Kandi's faces trying to act like you love them to pieces. So again, when it comes to friendship and Sheree, I don't want to hear anything about it. And when Sheree and Marlo got up to hug Kandi, I was like, Kandi is nicer than me because I would have said to both of them, don't touch me. Get the F off of me. I'm very affectionate. Like, I love to be touched and all that. Like, I'm very touchy-feely. If you meet me, I'm a hugger. But if you've pissed me off, don't come anywhere near me. I would have said, don't hug me, please. That's how you know I'm angry. Telltale signs when I'm angry, I've lost my appetite, and you guys know how much I love food, but I can't eat when I'm angry or I'm sad. So when I argue with people, I lose a few pounds that day because my appetite is shot. And I'm just so irritated. I want everybody around me, don't touch me, nothing. So I would say, get the F away from me. So now the scene ends with Sheree and Marlo hugging Kandi and letting her know that they're also going to do better in their friendship. And you know that Marlo and Sheree are both BS artists. They're not changing their ways. They're going to remain the same awful friends as they've always been. So that was just lip service when they said, oh, we're going to do better too, Kandi. We're going to reach out to you and support you too. It was like, girl, save it. Now we cut to the next scene with Sanya. She's at home in her kitchen and she's going to prepare a really romantic dinner for Ross since he's going to be home soon. I was cracking up because while she was trying to cook, her mom was making fun of her cooking skills. She was like, honey, do you have the burner on? Did you season the fish? Because she was making her sweet and sour salmon. Oh, I meant to ask this. Didn't Sanya say that her kitchen wasn't ready yet? Remember how she had the cooking class at this place and at her house? Because she said that her kitchen wasn't ready? Her kitchen looked fine to me, but I digress. So now she finishes her meal and then she gets changed into this really pretty dress and Ross is home. So he's excited to see her. She's like, babe, I made this romantic dinner for just us. And it was so cute because when he said grace, he was like, dear Lord, let this food nourish our bodies and make sure that my stomach can prepare whatever shouldn't have been added in this meal. I was screaming because I was like, it's evident that Sanya is definitely not the chef in the family. But it's okay too, girl, because I'm an Uber Eats girl myself. I will Uber eat some food and then plate it real nicely. So Sanya finally gets the words out that she's not sure if she wants to have another kid since Ross is always traveling. So now we learn from Sanya's confessional that their whole reason of moving to Atlanta was to bring their chauffeur business out there. But the business is still in Texas. And because of that, Ross does a lot of traveling back and forth, and he'll be out there driving the cars himself, making sure that the cars are up to par, and it's taking away from him being with the family. So Ross is listening to Sanya, but it's clear that he doesn't really agree with what she's saying. He says that as a business owner, he needs that support from his wife instead of feeling guilty about being away. And I was like, Ross, put yourself in your wife's shoes. Like, she's overwhelmed and she's tapped out and she's telling you this, and all you have to say is, well, don't make me feel guilty about being a business owner. Like, that's the wrong answer. I really felt bad for Sanya, and it was really sad when she said, you know, I know that we had this great big vision for our family. We always wanted to have more kids, but I don't think that it's realistic for us to bring another kid into the mix when, you know, things just aren't right. Sanya is the one who's looking at the bigger picture, whereas Ross is not. And the fact that Sanya's already said in quite a few episodes that when she first gave birth to Deuce, she felt like Ross wasn't there to emotionally support her, I'd be feeling the same exact way as she does. I'd be like, yeah, about that, no. Now we jump to a short scene with Sheree. She's on a FaceTime call with her new business manager, and they're going over some new plans on how to revamp She by Sheree and actually be a legitimate business. And then Sheree goes on to say that she has spent so much time, so much money on samples, on trying to find a manufacturer, and it's just been hell. And it's like, Sheree, you don't have to pretend. You haven't given it your all with She by Sheree. It's been a joke from the start. But we shall see if this new business manager is able to get She by Sheree off the ground. I won't hold my breath though, okay? If she is able to make something happen, it'll be a miracle. So now we get to the next scene with Kandi, Kenya, and Monyetta, and they're taking a candle making class. Now we all know Monyetta. She is Neo's baby mama / ex-fiance. We all remember how he did her. And I would love to see Monyetta replace Marlo as a full-time housewife. I think that she would be great. She's beautiful, she's engaging, she's good for TV, interesting backstory. She's rich. I love how she found love again. Her new husband is really cute, by the way, but again, I digress. And I also love the fact that Monyetta actually has real friendships with Kenya and Kandi. This scene was organic. They weren't putting on for the cameras. Very natural. So while they're making their candles, Monyetta brings up Kandi's acting roles, and then she brings up her charity, Kandi Cares. So now Kandi tells Kenya how Monyetta was helping her with her turkey drive. So of course, since they're on the topic about Kandi's charity, Kenya says, well, funny that you should mention that, because when we were at lunch the other day, Marlo brought up how you were trying to give her used clothes to her charity and how you weren't a good friend. So Kandi's really annoyed and she says, check this out. The other day, her and Sheree invited me out to this little sauna day, and so they both ambushed me talking all this mess. So now Kenya interrupts and says, Kandi is a great friend. When I was on Dancing with the Stars, she would be on IG Live for 2 hours making sure that everybody voted for me. Like, that's a good friend right there. And once again, Kandi might have her stuff, but I will say that she does support the ladies. Everybody has said that about her. Kandi will support them. When they have other endeavors, when they have, business ventures, she will support. So now Kandi says that it feels like Marlo's trying to start this hate campaign against her, and I agree. Because Marlo's going so hard on Kandi this season. I mean, every single episode, she's picking at her about something. And Marlo has to be one of the worst friends to have. So the fact that she's even commenting on anybody being a bad friend is very comical. So now Kandi goes on to ask Monyetta about her honeymoon. So now Monyetta says, girl, our honeymoon was lit, okay? So now Kandi wants to know if they used her bedroom Kandi products. So Monyetta says, of course we did. So now since Kandi has brought up her products, Kenya interjects and brings up the whole vibrating panties debacle when they were in New York. I was a bit annoyed at this whole interaction between Kenya and Kandi because I felt like it went left for no reason. I was kind of shocked that this was getting brought up again because I thought they had resolved it in last week's episode at Sanya's cooking class. And then for them to start arguing about it again, I was like, are we still discussing this? Now, if I were Kandi, I wouldn't have gotten that upset. I would have let Kenya get her jokes off and then said, okay, girl, are you done? And then laughed it off and gotten back to the candle making. But Kandi got defensive, and instead of just brushing it off, she kind of escalated things. But I do have to say that Kandi can't be told anything, though, because she was bringing up how Kenya acts like a goody-goody, and then when she brought up Kenya joking around about how she would sleep with her in front of everybody last season, I was thinking, Kandi, really? Just take the L on the chin and just say, I thought it was a joke. I wasn't trying to be disrespectful. Like, can we just drop it now? That's what I would have said. So Kenya and Kandi finally stop arguing. They resolve it, laugh it off. And then Kandi says in her confessional that that's the difference between her and Kenya's friendship versus her and Marlo. They can have a disagreement and resolve it immediately, whereas with Marlo, she tries to be hateful and turn people against her. Now, let me just say this. The way Kenya and Kandi were yelling at each other, I mean, everybody was looking. And it got kind of heated. And if you know me well, if we get into an argument, it takes me a while to move on and to cool off. Like, I wouldn't have been able to sit there and then continue conversation and laugh it off. I probably would have said, Kenya, I'll see you in a few days. And, I would have just left. Like, I'm being completely honest with you guys. I have to say, everybody's making Kandi work for her check this season. They said, no, sis, you won't be sitting here collecting $2.8 million, coasting. You're going to fight this season. I mean, everybody has been getting into it with her. But I'm glad that her and Kenya do have a friendship and they're okay. So now it's the day of Drew's Drop It with Drew event. And she says that she wants all the ladies to see that it's a legitimate business. Now, I was screaming because throughout this scene, Drew was making everybody weigh themselves. And when she stepped on the scale, I think it said that she was 157. And when she was like, the devil is a lie. Me personally, I like to weigh myself every day or every other day. I feel like it keeps me on target. I think it's helpful. So that's what I do. And that way, nothing's ever a surprise because I do it every day so I can track the changes. You know what I'm saying? So now we see Marlo, Sheree, and Sanya pulling up. And when I tell you, I was very surprised to see Sanya riding with them. I was like, so now she's close to Marlo and Sheree? Like, when did this happen? But then again, she did invite them to Portland for her Nike trip, so it all makes sense. But as they're pulling up to the event, Marlo makes fun of the sign that Drew has outside of the facility, and she's like, she must have got that sign from FedEx. And it's like, okay, and what if she did? Like, why is that something to shade? Marlo is always looking to tear somebody down. She never has a positive word to say about anybody. She's always critiquing something. Something isn't good enough. You know, it's just nasty. And Sheree, you're always laughing at somebody else when your whole life is in shambles. You're crying over a man in jail who stood you up on national TV, and the fact that you have a failed business that never got off the ground, but yet you want to laugh at somebody and the sign they have outside. Like, what? When I tell you I have never liked Sheree from day one. That first episode I clocked her. Delusional and arrogant. So now Marlo, Sheree, and Sanya walk into the event, and Drew makes them weigh themselves, and then we see Sanya greeting Drew, and she's like, I'm happy to see you, I'm happy to be here, thanks for inviting me. Now, to be honest with you, I don't really know if I would have invited Sanya to this, because she has quite a few strikes against her. She was up there laughing at dropping it with Drew, talking about, I don't understand what it is, it seems fake to me, not inviting Drew to the Mommy Nation photo shoot, being nasty to her at the cooking class. So I don't know if I would have been that nice. So child, we see everybody getting ready for the class to start, and Sheree had on these leggings that had her booty, I mean, her butt was sitting. I can't even lie to you, the butt looked amazing. I mean, everybody was shocked. The cameras even caught Todd staring at her booty. So Kandi's like, girl, are those leggings she by Sheree? Like, where'd you get those? I'ma need some of those. So we learned that the leggings are a prototype and they should be on sale soon, or whenever spring, summer, September is. Now, Sheree, I'm gonna give you one more compliment. If you sell those leggings, they will sell out. So now we see Sanya talking to Ralph quickly, and she's like, Ralph, I need your advice because Ross is kind of upset with me. He wants another kid, I don't. How do y'all make it work? So Ralph is like, well, we have 3, and you guys only have 1, and we're even busier than you guys are. So if we make it work, then surely you guys can. Then he says that Sanya can't use busy as an excuse to not have more kids. I was like, Ralph, do you hear yourself? I was thinking, Sanya, why are you even asking Ralph for advice in the first place? Sanya, please do what's best for you. Trust your gut, okay? Stop asking all these folks for advice, especially Ralph and Drew. So the workout class begins, and immediately Todd gets his phone call and he's like, Kandi, we gotta go, let's go. So she and Todd leave out the gym, and we hear Todd talking to the police. So everybody wants to know what's going on, and then they all follow them outside. And then Kandi and Todd let them know that somebody trespassed on their property. And when Marlo and Sheree went out to see what happened, they were only doing that to be nosy. They don't really care about Kandi like that. So all that, oh my gosh, I hope you guys are okay. That's just so scary. It was like, just stop. They have some very nasty spirits. I wouldn't even have told them anything, to be honest with you. I would have said, go back in the workout class and leave me alone. Y'all came for me the other day at the sauna. Like, don't say anything to me. So Kandi and Todd leave Drew's event because they want to check on their kids, because their kids are with their babysitter named Katrina. And Katrina is also a family friend of Kandi's. So now when we see Kandi and Todd get back to the house, thank God everybody's okay. Katrina says that this guy came to the door talking about, is this Kandi's house? Like, she told me that I could come here. And now we see the footage, and I mean, this man was out of his mind. He's talking about, hi, I'm Beyonce's family member, and Kandi Burruss invited me over because I'm a songwriter, and she told me to come over because I'm also T.I.'s son.
No.
I mean, clearly, he's not living in reality. That's actually very scary. And I wonder if some of these women might think about getting like a fake house to film in. I know the Kardashians do that. Like, they don't really film in their real house because of, stalkers and weirdos trying to find them. Because I know that somebody had walked into Kris Jenner's house one day, like they just breezed past security, and they said, oh, hey girl, what's up? And she was freaking out. But yeah, that's very frightening. Thank God nobody was hurt. Thank God for the most part this man was harmless. He didn't have a weapon. But I could definitely feel the anxiety coming out of Kandi and Todd because that's your home. That's where you lay your head. And you don't want to deal with any crazies trying to roll up on you. So now we're back to the dropping it with Drew event. And now it's time for the workout to begin. So they're all doing the exercises. Marlo's not here for it. She says that she prefers to get some lipo like Drew does. And then we have Sheree shading Drew in her confessional, saying that between Drew's bad mommy makeovers and her not doing these moves the correct way, she sees why Drew looks like a busted can of biscuits. I was thinking, Sheree, Dr. Jackie from Married to Medicine already said that line, so come up with something else. And honestly, is it the worst thing in the world? At Drew, being silly at the workout class and remixing the moves, like, cut her some slack. So now the workout class is over, and mind you, Kenya finally arrives. And it was so funny because everybody was dressed in all black, and Kenya came in with all the colors. I said, I know that's right. I love a bright color, especially a workout set. It just makes it even more fun when you're working out. So now all the ladies are gathered around talking, and Drew brings out her business partner, Jackie. So they're grilling the business partner about what exactly is Drop It with Drew, how did they come together and partner in business, and when did this all start? So Jackie says that she started her program, I think 5 years ago. She has 6 locations in Chicago, and she reached out to Drew because since Drew lives in Atlanta, she wants to tap into the Atlanta market. So pretty much, Drew is just the face of this business. And the business was originally called the 21-Day Program and not Drop It with Drew. So now Drew's a bit offended at everybody asking all these questions to make sure that her business is legit. And then she says, I mean, come on now. We've been waiting on certain people to launch their businesses for decades now. And she's like, she by Sheree, like, where's it at? So now Sheree gets defensive and she says, but sweetie, you're just the face of this. It's not your business. And I could have been the face for a lot of brands. And I said, oh, really, Sheree? Which ones? We know that you've always been desperate for a check, so I know good and well you're lying because I know you were not turning down any business proposition, so please stop. And also, that was very hateful of you to say, but you're only the face of it. Well, at least Drew is making some money. She's doing something. What are you doing besides RHOA? I'll wait. And it's so funny at how Sheree can critique everybody and make shady remarks to everybody, but when somebody gives it right back to her, she can't take it. So now Monyetta interjects and she brings up the little spat that Marlo, Sheree, and Kandi had a few days ago. So she's like, yeah, she was telling me about it the other day, how you guys pretty much ambushed her and her feelings were hurt. So now Kenya interjects and says, look, Marlo, Kandi's not effing with you right now, and that conversation made her see that you're not a good friend. So Marlo is upset with Kenya because Kenya has relayed this information. So she goes on to say in her confessional that Kenya always does this to her. She always breaks her heart, stabs her in the back, and then tears her down. I said, if it's anybody tearing anybody down, it's you. And Kenya has every right to tear you down the way you've talked so poorly about her. You calling her a whore 2 episodes ago, saying that, she's a throwback from the 90s, and this, that, and the third. You're nobody's friend. So, of course, Marlo can't help herself, and she wants to be all shady and sarcastic, and she says to Kenya, Kenya, can you teach me how to be a good friend? So Kenya's getting annoyed by Marlo's antics, and she says, Marlo, that's your problem. You don't know how to be a friend to anybody. So now Marlo decides that she wants to be an asshole, and she says, well, Kenya, tell me what happened between you and Mark. Like, what's happening with him? Like, what's going on over there? And it's like, Marlo, what's wrong with you? Like, you really need help. I'm serious. This isn't me trying to be shady or being mean. Like, you need help. And then for you to start talking about Kenya has a fake butt and how her makeup is messed up, it was like, what are you saying? Now, if somebody got on you about your lipo and you not having any edges, you'll be crying then. And the jokes truly write themselves, because for Marlo to twist her mouth and say to Kenya, learn how to keep a man, not only is that a very weak and cheap read, but the biggest joke of it all is the fact that we've yet to see Marlo with a boyfriend in all her time on the show. I mean, it seems like her last relationship was over a decade ago with the billionaire. And I mean, that was ages ago, and she's still talking about that. When Marlo kept talking about Kenya's marriage and all that stuff, I was happy when Kenya clapped back and said, but I have a beautiful child out of it. What do you have? And Marlo couldn't say anything. I said, there you go. I said, there you go. If Marlo wants to go for the jugular, take it to hell. I was glad she said that. So now Marlo hops in Kenya's face, and I'm thinking, why can't we ever just have a conversation or a regular argument? Why do things always have to be taken to another level? Marlo, just stay where you're at. Marlo has a lot of rage built up inside her because it is apparent that she is always ready to fight. If that's your friend, why are you getting in their face like you want to fight them? Me personally, I would have just walked away right then and there.
Oh! Shout out to everybody. I had fun.
I gotta be good.
Because I'm not even going to do this with you. Because it's going to escalate and go another place real fast. I was just so upset. Like, Marlo really has a problem. And I'm going to be honest with you guys. Team Twirl, don't get mad at me. I'm just being honest. But I didn't love when Kenya said, get your hand out of my face. I understand that she was annoyed and irritated because Marlo is a very nasty individual. But that could have just taken things to a completely different level. I'm all for keep your hands right here where everybody can see them. I don't like all that, So I was just kind of like, Kenya, I understand that you're mad, rightfully so. But in a situation like this, curse her out as you're walking away. But Marlo is definitely at fault for stepping in Kenya's face, period. And also, it's like, can't we ever just have one event where there's no drama, where everybody gets along? Like, it always has to go left. So Kenya's leaving. As she's getting in her car, you have Marlo outside screaming, talking about, buy fake booty, buy fake booty. And it's like, Marlo, you're just so juvenile. And it's also very evident at how Marlo is a very poor reader, because she always goes for your appearance or your money. Like, she's just not clever. She's not witty. She really can't keep up because Kenya can read you down. So as Kenya drives away, we hear Marlo saying that she's from the hood and how when she gets in an argument with you, she's not going to ever bring up your mom, your children, or your husband. And we see the montage play, and she has attacked Kenya on all three of those things. And if we're being honest, I would have never spoken to Marlo ever again after she had said to me, that's why your own mother doesn't want you. So we would have never spoken after that. And if we're being honest, I also think that Marlo's very envious of Kenya and Kandi, because it doesn't make any sense for how she's just coming at them so hard. And now we end the episode with Sanya and Drew talking, and Sanya brings up how she and Ross are at a crossroads. He wants another child, she doesn't, and she wants some advice on what to do. And I hit the floor when Drew was like, but you have to please your husband. Like, if he wants another kid, then give him another kid. Like, Ralph wanted another kid. He wanted a daughter so badly, so I did that. I was like, Drew, what? And even Sanya was looking at her like, girl, what the F? Like, please my husband. Like, he needs to be worried about pleasing me. I said, Sanya, I know that's right. And also, when Drew said, yeah, I had another one because Ralph really wanted a daughter, I said, but what if you had another son? Would you just have kept trying until you had a daughter just to make Ralph happy? Like, I was just in shock. Sanya, please stop asking Drew or Ralph for marital advice, okay? Because they're going to steer you in the wrong direction. I mean, Drew sounded brainwashed when she said it. She was like, but don't you want to make your husband happy? And I was like, oh, girl, my goodness. What is this, Stepford Wives? And I said, I see why Drew's in the boat she's in her own marriage. So y'all, that's where the episode ends. And when I tell you that this episode was a 10 out of 10, I got my entire life. As you can see, I was entertained from beginning, middle, and end. A hot mess with Marlo and Sheree. I won't be upset if they're both demoted for next season. I'm sick of them. But again, thank you guys so much for watching my recap. I hope you all enjoyed. And you guys already know what to do. Please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And I will see you all later. Bye.